It is Monday, June the 3rd. Time for the weekly garden update. I usually start here with onions, but had to pick all of them. They're done. They weren't as done as I wanted them to be. But I planted them late, so there you go. Average size about 2.5 inches. I'll show you that in a couple of minutes if I can figure out how to insert a YouTube video, or not a YouTube video, an iPhone video into a YouTube series here. They're still dead. I don't know what's going on here. I am looking at this. I threw a couple of potatoes that Candace had laid on the counter that had sprouted, but look at the leaves on this plant, and then the leaves on this plant, and the leaves on this plant. It's going to be very interesting when I turn this one over on a tarp after these plants die back. Okra that the storm kind of took out, they decided to stand back up on their own. Figured to give them a little time. I've planted some more okra seeds over there, but we'll see what happens with these. I had one okra right there that the chickens decided to taste. They didn't like it, so I'm hoping that we're going to go forward and they're going to agree they don't want to eat okra and see what happens. Have talked to some friends up the road. They've got some goat wire that's 4 feet tall that I'm going to put around the okra seeds when they start coming up over in the other location. There's baby Love. She's over here next to the fence trying to eat a little bit of stuff, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. She doesn't belong in the garden, thankfully. Figgy is doing well. Our little figlet, I guess we can still call it a figlet, doing okay. We may have one other coming up on here. I'm not going to get anybody's hopes up yet, so we'll leave that one alone. The petunias are spilling over the side of their container. These things are doing awesome, and I actually saw a bee on there. It's amazing. We've got bees in a hive at the front of our place, way down there, and they're not here. But the problem is, there's so many wild flowers out there right now. It's just really hard to compete with all the wildflowers that are happening. Let's step inside of the produce prison. We'll start here. Last time I showed where Candace had trimmed off the basil, and they're already coming back. Got new leaves starting coming back. I'm really looking forward to her making some pesto as we move forward. This little guy, that's Mima's jalapeno plant. This came from her seed. Came from one of her jalapenos that she gave me several years ago that had been frozen. I'm still hoping on the patty pan squash. No flowers for the last little bit. Still growing. I sprayed it with some neem oil and such and got the critters off of it, but it's still just growing. It's not doing anything spectacular. Tomatoes, whatever you want to call them. Got a lot of them happening here. These clusters like this right here are just amazing me. When I bought these seeds, they said up to 3-inch diameter tomatoes. Well, so far what we're seeing is tomatoes that start to blush at about 1.5 inches, 2 inches in diameter. When I say blush, right there's one starting to blush, it's starting to turn colors. That one is maybe 1.5 inches in diameter. Got another one down there, maybe 1.25 inches in diameter. Cucumbers. They're acting like they're starved for water, which they probably are. It's only rained 3 inches in the last 48 hours, but they are in a container, so I will water them this evening. They're coming on up. The rope seems to be doing good. The tendrils are grabbing hold of the rope, coming up. So hopefully they'll grow all the way up here and meet their friend from down there, which is going absolutely nuts. I've got to take some of the tendrils off of the wire on the back part of this because it's pulling it in there and back here as well. Jalapenos, they're going good. I've got one right there. I'll be ready to harvest in a few days, more than likely. Where the collards used to be, I put some purple hull peas. They're coming up. But you want a funny about purple hull peas? I dropped a purple hull pea while I was putting those in there, pea seed, in this little bitty container. And look at that. I've got one coming up. I'm gonna have to save this guy. You know that, right? Yukon potatoes. They are growing up, they're tall. They're trying to fall over. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to start trying to harvest these pretty soon. Even the second bucket is falling over. Tried to hold them up, but the bottoms are yellowing a little bit. So instead of full grown Yukon potatoes, we'll have new potatoes. You never know. Not gonna talk about stuff in the middle just yet. This is a zucchini plant. And here is the bane of our existence here lately. These critters right here. What they don't know is about dusk, I'm coming out with a spray. They're probably going to go bye-bye. Now, we've got this zucchini plant, which earlier was covered with bugs on the zucchini fruit that we have, but I'm gonna leave that out. This yellow squash plant did not make it. Looking at the stem of it, it was a squash vine borer, got in there and laid an egg, and it's over. Pull those out. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna plant some more, I think I'm gonna go with green beans on this one. Green beans are never a bad thing. Not to mention the squash beetles don't jack with green beans. Our last yellow squash plant here. Got one growing there, got several blooms. Now let's talk about what's going on in the middle. Black-eyed peas, they're starting to come up. Purple hull peas. They're looking better since I treated them for the critters. These are the green beans. I put this pole, or this teepee, basically, of bamboo in there, and they are growing up nicely. The tendrils have taken off on those. Oh, I'd be willing to bet by this time next week, we're gonna have green beans all the way up to here. Well, my bride's been gone all week. She's been taking care of her mother who was ill, and she is home tonight, so I'm gonna cut this short. I'm gonna go inside, see how she's doing, see what she wants for dinner. Hope everybody's doing well. Y'all take care.